Errol Spence Jr. flips off Terence Crawford and says he himself is doing all the heavy lifting. Stay tuned to this video. I'm going to break it down in no time. I'll be right back. Stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, Errol Spence says he is doing the heaviest lifting in the welterweight division. I've talked about this, and let's jump right into the content. Boom. Errol Spence, he tweeted this out earlier today, and Errol Spence says on his verified page, as you guys can see, I'm doing all the heavy lifting. So to me, this is a direct response to any type of deflectors, detractors, haters, Terence Crawford fans, Terence Crawford himself, Terence Crawford's family, you know, anybody. Errol Spence also posted some shots of him in the gym, him with his family, right? So he's in the gym, he's working. And one of them, he was flipping off the camera. He's like flipping the bird. And I think that's also a direct message to Terence Crawford and some of the haters out there who have questioned him. As we know, he got the big fight with Yordenis Ugas. I made several videos. You gotta subscribe to the channel. Now, Ugas is 27-4, coming off the best performance of his entire career. He just retired a legend, y'all, in Manny Pacquiao. He does have 4 losses. 2 of them were with Top Rank. He's never been stopped, and he is now a champion. And you could really argue, and I would argue, I thought in 2019 when he fought Shawn Porter, first of all, Shawn Porter missed weight and had to cut his hair for that particular fight for some reason. I thought he beat him. And there was a moment where Jack Reese, the same referee that had a couple blunders, like in Brian Pereira's fight, and most notably Wilder Fury Part 1 with the long count and all that, right? And even in Jermell Charlo, Tony Harrison Part 2, I thought it was a weird stoppage. Like Tony Harrison got popped, his head popped up with like 4 uppercuts. Jack Reese allowed the fight to continue, and he really, that was, if there was a great moment to stop it, that would have been it. When you seen Jermell Charlo throw like 3, 4, 5 uppercuts, and then the guy's head was bopping up, and he was getting hit with them after being dropped in that round. Jack Reese didn't choose to stop the fight at that given moment, and then a little bit after that, when Tony Harrison was trying to regain himself and he was dodging shots and Jermell was on him, that's when he, you know, decided to end the fight. And I was there live for it. I thought it was weird. I'm not mad at the stoppage. I think Jermell stopped him fair and square, but out of all the spots in the fight, why not have stopped it when he was actually landing the shots, you know, meaningful shots, as opposed to when a guy's like, you know, trying to stay alive and survive and was fidgeting. It's just really weird timing. And also the Wilder Fury thing, yada, yada, yada. So that's the Shawn Porter. There was a big blunder where Porter really got dropped, similar to Terence Crawford versus Mean Machine. And for whatever reason, it didn't get documented and the fighter didn't get credit for it. So we know Yordenis Ugas is a quality operator. He's out of Cuba. Cuba has an illustrious school. You know, one of my fighters that I'm really checking for right now is David Morrell Jr. I tweeted about it. So I agree 1000% with what Errol Spence is saying. He's saying I'm doing the heavy lifting, and it's true. In fact, follow me on Twitter. I got some things that I said, and I want to just read the quote because I like the way I phrased it. And you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. So I tweeted, the funny thing is this. Many of the Terence Crawford radical man fans cannot explain this. Listen up carefully, please. You guys got to listen. This is good. We get into the good part. We're going to get to the good stuff. Funny thing is, many of the Terence Crawford radical man fans cannot explain this. Shouldn't you be happy Errol Spence is fighting Yordenis Ugas next in another unification? The first one was Shawn Porter. If, let's say, a lot of the people who are hating on the fight and a lot of the Terence Crawford fans, they're saying this is BS. Why is Spence off of an eye injury fighting an in-house champion who just beat Manny Pacquiao, as if this is hard to figure out? But whatever, we'll play devil's advocate. Fans are trying to make it look like there's a problem with the fight, knowing they'll watch the fight and knowing it's a great fight. But anywho, shouldn't you be happy with Errol Spence getting the belt versus Kell Brook, fighting guys like Mikey Garcia and Danny Garcia, unifying with Sean Porter, now unifying again, and if he beats Ugas, 3 of the belts will be in his possession. 3. 1, 2, 3. Because if you actually listen to a lot of the Crawford fans that are having an all-out temper tantrum and trying to hate on Spence Ugas, if they had it their way and Errol Spence Crawford happened directly next, as I'm saying, the winner would still have the 4th belt to collect because Ugas would still be a champion. No? So Errol Spence is doing all of the unifying. What part of that do you guys not understand? This is why Errol Spence is saying, I'm doing all the heavy lifting. He's fought the bigger names. He's done the bigger pay-per-views. He's done the bigger events. He's had the better promotion. He's, I think, made more money for sure, right? And most importantly, from a boxing place, like just pure legacy and stuff, he's fought the better welterweight resume names, and he's unifying the titles. So Errol Spence is on his Thanos stuff, and all of the belts, he's doing what he said he was going to do, which is clean up his side of the street. And he told you that years ago, and you want me to be mad at Errol Spence and call him a duck and stuff. I see why he's flipping y'all off. I really, truly see why he's flipping y'all off. The man flew out of a car and came back to Danny Garcia, a top 5 guy in the welterweight division who has a big punch, as his tune-up fight. Now coming off of retinal surgery, which Abner Mares pulled out of the Gervonta Tank Davis fight for the same thing. Now, each person, I understand injuries work different for different people. You know, one might have had a more severe tear, but it's overall the same injury. Abner Mares is a commentator on Showtime. Since the Gervonta Davis pullout, we have not seen Abner Mares come back to the sport. So he might be done, you know, not wanting to risk it. This man, Errol Spence, is fighting a dangerous Cuban who reinvented his career and was the southpaw killer against Pacquiao. And this is what he's coming back to off of a retina tear. And fans want me to tear into Errol Spence, pause, and say he's ducking, like he's saying he is doing all the heavy lifting. And I know it offends some people because they're not really here for the truth. It's like my Ego Valley videos when Tupac said it. He said it's like the Judas did to Jesus. They're only here to cause distractions. And that's what some of you guys in the boxing world are. They're only here to create and cause chaos. And they're only here to cause distractions. They're not talking any intelligible facts. They're hating. The man is coming off an eye injury, fighting a top level Ugas who redefined his career and is following his dreams and pursuing. So Ugas deserves it. And you want me to feel sorry for Terence Crawford, and the business decisions that he's made have put him in the situation that he's in. But like I'm saying, Errol is doing the heaviest lifting. You look at the names, the Kell Brooks, at the time he fought Kell Brook, not years later when Crawford got him. Sean Porter in 2019 versus years later when Terence Crawford fought him and stopped him, right? Mikey Garcia, when he was calling Errol out and he was undefeated. I see something, right? Lamont Peterson, before Sergey Lipinets and, you know, retired him or whatever. That was Errol. The sold out crowds, everything. So shouldn't the Spence fans be happy? Or excuse me, the Crawford fans, shouldn't they be happy? Spence is doing the heavy lifting and doing Thanos and putting potentially a 3rd Infinity Stone out of 4. He's putting them in the glove. He putting the Infinity Stones in, and all Crawford has done is fight the names that were available to him, and he became a champion in his first fight at welterweight. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So I see the play. I see that people are hating, but ultimately it is what it is. And I said, can you really say that you are without a doubt the best if Spence and Crawford happen next, like you guys are saying you want, some of you, when the winner still wouldn't be undisputed? So in theory, with another qualified active champion, we don't know if that establishes the best, because again, even if devil's advocate, if Crawford and Spence happen next to appease y'all or whatever, right, some of you, then Ugas would still be out there with the belt. So how could we just say, because we ranked Spence and Crawford so highly, how could we just take Ugas, who just beat Pacquiao, out of the equation? So I said, so Spence is doing y'all a favor, right? And we're gonna keep cooking on this. So it doesn't solidify that. And that's the reality. And I gave an example. I said, so that's like if the WBC didn't throw in a vacant WBC belt for the Caleb Smith Canelo Alvarez fight like they did, we back Canelo. And if Benavidez kept his title, because no person has beat Benavidez. He lost his title on the scale, a fluke with the weight or whatever in the pandemic, and he lost it. So let's pretend David Benavidez kept his title. Could you say that Canelo is the best at 168, the true best, if David Benavidez still had his title and never lost it on the scale, but he fought Caleb Smith, Saunders, Avni Yildirim, and then Caleb Plant? Okay, 3 of those 4 were champions, but Benavidez, had he not missed weight, he would still have his belt. So how could Canelo say that he's outright the best in the division by beating Caleb Smith, Saunders, Caleb Plant, and Benavidez was still there with the WBC belt? But fortunately for Canelo, the WBC, we back Canelo, they threw in that belt for the Caleb Smith. So in beating Caleb Smith in a one-sided beatdown, it was a twofer. It was 2 belts for the price of 1. Caleb Smith should have came in with the belt he had, the BA or whatever, and then the WBC threw their belt in. So that didn't happen. But you guys get the analogy. So that would be the same thing. Even if Crawford Spence happened next, Ugas would still be out there off of the best performance of his career against Pacquiao. So how could we just anoint Crawford if he won, or Spence if he won, and just completely disrespect Ugas like that? So like I said, Errol Spence is doing y'all a favor, because he's the A side and he's making these unifications happening with his team. I said, so Errol Spence, is he not doing what he told you he was doing, cleaning up his side of the street? So not much different than Canelo fighting 4 DAZN fights in a row after he sued them. He sued Golden Boy, he included DAZN, and then he fought the only remaining champion Al Heyman guy in the weight class, which was Caleb Plant. So how does Canelo get a pass for suing DAZN and implementing them and putting them in a lawsuit? And then he only fought 1 PBC guy at the tail end, but Errol Spence can't clean up his side of the street. And again, I've predicted this years ago. This is also about power. You're going to see when this is all done, if Errol Spence or Ugas, whoever wins, they got 3 belts, they got the power in the negotiating. So if Crawford don't come correct, then he's rendered powerless, period. So it's also a game, 48 laws of power type stuff, right? So it's not just about, I'm cleaning up my side of the street. It's not about ducking. It's about power. A lot of it's about power. Crawford, he's in no man's land. He's in no man's land. I said, speaking of Canelo, did he not sue DAZN, leave Golden Boy, and then go back to DAZN to fight all DAZN fighters in a row with Eddie Hearn? He fought Caleb Smith, Avni Yildirim, Billy Joe Saunders. Then he pumped fake like he was going to fight Bivol after the Plant negotiations stalled out. Then he fought 1 PBC guy. This is all facts. So, all the people crying over spilled milk, it's really just misdirected anger because they didn't get their way, right? They wanted to see Errol pressured. They thought the WBA ordered the Stanionis versus Ugas, and they thought that was going to get in the way and force Errol Spence, and it didn't force anything. Big fish is big fishing. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. He said he's doing the heavy lifting. I agree with him. I'm out. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC, Bluetooth ready, with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster.